The world of Elisar had never known such fear. Its skies, once soft and blue, now burned red with the fires of falling ships. Smoke rose from the cities in long, twisting columns that could be seen from miles away. People ran through the streets, clutching children, dragging what little they could carry. The sound of alarms mixed with screams, making the air heavy and tense. It seemed that the Varrock's dominion would leave nothing alive. In the underground bunker beneath the capital city, the Elisari Council gathered. They were a small group of elders, known for their wisdom and calm minds. Their leader, Liren, stood quietly at the center of the room. His skin was pale, and his eyes showed the weight of decades. He watched as maps of the city burned slightly at the edges, a result of stray sparks from nearby explosions. Around him, other council members whispered and argued in low voices. One of them, a tall figure named Vaishon, slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot hold them. They have ships in the thousands, and our defenses are failing. If we do not act now, all of Elisar will be lost." His voice was loud and sharp, carrying panic. Another council member, a gentle elder named Cirella, shook her head. "Panic will not save us. We need to make a final call. A request for help from the galaxy. Perhaps someone, somewhere, will answer. We cannot die without asking." Liren nodded slowly. "Yes. Even if the galaxy has turned away from us before, we must try once more. We send a message not as rulers, but as survivors. We ask for aid. If no one comes, we will at least know that we did everything we could." A young technician named Tala had been working quietly at a communication console in the corner. She was exhausted, her clothes torn, and her hair matted with sweat. Her hands moved quickly over the panels, checking signal strength, adjusting the frequencies. Tala's mind raced. She knew the Varrock's dominion was too strong, but she refused to let despair take her. She had been repairing the communication system since the first attacks, and she would continue, even if it cost her life. "Are you sure this will reach anyone?" Tala asked, her voice small but firm. She did not look up from the console. "It must," Liren said. "Even if they do not answer, we cannot stop trying. Turn on the beacon. Send the call to every corner of the galaxy that our systems can reach. Let them hear our plea." Tala nodded and activated the beacon. A soft hum filled the room as the machine powered up, sending signals out through space. The console flashed, showing the message spreading across channels. Each pulse of data carried the hope of a civilization that was running out of time. Outside, the city shook as explosions hit buildings. Tala's heart pounded. She could see the fire reflected in the windows, and she thought of the families she could not reach. Still, she focused on the task. Every second the beacon worked was another second the call had to survive. Hours passed. The Varrock's dominion pressed harder. Their ships moved in patterns that suggested strategy and cruelty. They attacked the city's bridges, towers, and energy grids, leaving chaos in their wake. Soldiers who had once fought bravely were now reduced to small groups, trying to hold a corner of a street or a collapsed plaza. Civilians huddled together, waiting for the end. The Elisari Council waited as well, watching the progress of the beacon through the monitors. They had no illusions. Most of the galaxy was too afraid of the Varrock's dominion to answer. Many worlds would see Elisar fall and think only of themselves. Some may not even notice. In the vast reaches of space, the signal traveled. It passed by alliance stations, trade ships, and distant colonies. Some officers saw it and immediately marked it as low priority. Others noticed it but decided the risk was too high. Plans were made in quiet rooms, papers shuffled, and the message was filed away. Elisar's plea for help was just another signal among millions. At the edge of known space, a small relay station sat hidden on the edge of a rocky planet. It had been mostly abandoned years ago, left to run itself on old protocols. A board operator, human by nature, scanned incoming messages. Most were routine, some were complaints, others requests for trade or repairs. Then the Elisar signal appeared. The operator tilted his head. Looks like someone is in trouble, he muttered to himself. The alert was marked automatically as low priority. He frowned. Most of the galaxy would ignore it, and that was exactly what it wanted. The operator noticed something unusual. The message had been misrouted by an old protocol, one that led to restricted channels. The message, tiny and desperate, now drifted into a region known as the Death Cluster. This area was avoided by all civilized species. Its planets were harsh, its storms deadly, and its wildlife lethal. Most thought it uninhabitable. No one came here willingly. Inside the asteroid station at the edge of the Death Cluster, the signal reached human ears. Humans had built outposts in this region long ago, not out of need, but because no one else dared to enter. They thrived in places other species considered dead. One young human officer named Eric scanned the incoming data. His brow furrowed as he read the message. The Varix Dominion? He had never seen this empire on maps, but the data showed devastation. Thousands of ships, cities on fire, a people on the edge of extinction. He forwarded the message to Central Human Command, adding a note, requesting evaluation and possible deployment. Situation is urgent. Back on Elisar, Tala continued to adjust the beacon, unaware of the humans who had received it. Each second she worked, she felt the weight of the world pressing on her. She thought of her family, her friends, and the people trapped outside in the chaos. She could not leave. She would keep the signal alive until someone answered. The Varax ships moved closer. Patrols flew low over the city streets. Explosions shook the ground, knocking rubble into the air. Tala ducked under a fallen beam, then crawled forward, her hands scraping against broken glass. She reached the console again, her fingers moving over the keys without hesitation. At the same time, council members continued their work. Liren watched the city through a monitor, noting where buildings still stood and where fire threatened to collapse the streets. "We are not ready to die yet," he whispered. He knew they were running out of time, but hope was the only thing that could keep them moving. Hours turned into more hours. The beacon continued to broadcast, sending a continuous pulse into the void. Tala leaned back, exhausted, and whispered a small prayer. She did not know if anyone would hear, but she had done her part. The people of Elisar had sent their call. In the Death Cluster, Eric studied the signal. He saw the images of burning cities, the panic on screens, and the cries for help recorded in the message. He knew that the galaxy might ignore this call, but humans were not like the rest. Humans had survived worse than this on their homeworld. They had thrived in places no one else could endure. He looked at his commander and said, "We should go. They need help, and no one else will answer." Far away, in the council bunker, Tala's eyes widened as she saw a small indicator flash on the console. She leaned forward, hoping it was not another error. The screen lit up, showing a signal being acknowledged. A voice came through the speakers. It was calm, clear, and unlike anything she had heard before. "This is the human fleet. We have received your distress call. We are on our way." Tala's heart nearly stopped. She could hardly believe it. Humans? The signal mentioned a species she had only seen in old records, stories, and myths. She did not know if humans were friend or enemy, but at this moment, hope filled her chest. Someone was coming. Someone was answering. Outside, the fires continued to rage, and the city shook with explosions. But for the first time in many hours, the people of Elisar felt a flicker of something more than fear. They felt the possibility of rescue. Tala pressed her hand to the console and whispered, "Please, make it in time." And somewhere in the darkness of space, humans began their journey, traveling faster and braver than anyone could expect, ready to bring help to a world the rest of the galaxy had abandoned. Far from Elisar, in a hidden corner of space, the human fleet stirred to life. The Death Cluster was quiet, a strange silence that seemed almost alive. Planets with jagged mountains, Toxic clouds and violent storms stretched across the viewports. Most species avoided this place, calling it cursed, dangerous, or uninhabitable. Humans called it home. On the central command station, orbiting one of the Death Cluster's rocky planets, officers moved with purpose. The station was large but rugged, built to survive conditions most species would never tolerate. Its walls were scarred from storms, meteor strikes, and years of use. Yet inside, humans worked efficiently, accustomed to danger and chaos. Laura, the leader of the rapid response team, stood at a console reviewing the incoming distress call from Elisar. Her brown hair was tied back tightly, her uniform simple but functional. She was calm, focused, and ready. Next to her, Daniel, a tall and solid man with broad shoulders, checked ship sensors and maintenance logs. Megan, the quiet strategist, ran simulations on multiple screens, analyzing the Verax Dominion's movements and the destroyed areas of Elisar. Lisa, the young medic, was checking supplies, ensuring the medical bays were fully stocked. Eric, the officer who first received the signal, stood nearby. "The planet is nearly gone," he said quietly. "If we don't act fast, the Verax Dominion will finish it." Laura nodded. "Then we act fast. We don't wait for permission. No one else has answered. We are the help they need, whether the galaxy likes it or not." The team gathered around a large table, the map of Elisar projected above it in glowing lines and shapes. The Verax fleet surrounded the planet in a near-perfect circle. Hundreds of ships hovered in orbit. Laser turrets on the surface were destroyed. Communication arrays were down or heavily damaged. Civilians were trapped in ruined buildings, while Verax patrols scoured the streets. Megan tapped on the map, highlighting weak points. "The enemy relies heavily on fear and control," she said. "Their formations are precise, but predictable. If we strike fast, hit their command points first, we can create confusion. That is our window to evacuate civilians." Daniel grunted. "Sounds simple on paper. But we're facing thousands of ships and thousands of soldiers. The moment we enter, they'll notice us. How do we avoid getting torn apart before we even reach the planet?" Laura smiled slightly. "We don't avoid them, we use them. We know how to survive where no one else can. This is why humans are feared and respected. They think we can't survive in the Death Cluster. That is our advantage." Eric nodded. "It's true. No other species can handle what humans do here. Extreme storms, lethal terrain, toxic air. Our crews train for all of it. And this is nothing compared to Earth's wilds." The team prepared for departure. Their ship, a sturdy assault cruiser named Frontier, hummed with energy. Engines powered up, and the lights of the hangar reflected off armored walls. Small shuttles were loaded with equipment, weapons, medical supplies, and drones. Human crews moved efficiently, checking and rechecking systems. Lisa checked the medical kits one last time. "We're going to see a lot of injuries," she said quietly. "We need to be ready for anything." Laura nodded. "Stay calm, stay focused. Our priority is saving as many lives as possible." The Frontier undocked from the station. It glided through space, past jagged asteroids and small moons, toward the coordinates of Elisar. Faster than light drives engaged, creating a blur as the stars stretched and twisted. Inside the ship, the crew prepared for the long journey ahead. On Elisar, Tala continued to monitor the beacon. She had heard rumors that humans had received the signal. Her heart leapt every time she checked for a response. She had never met a human, and she had no idea what to expect. Would they help? Would they even come? Fear and hope tangled together in her chest. Meanwhile, in orbit over Elisar, the Verax Dominion commander, a tall figure with sharp features, scanned the city below. The Verax had been confident from the beginning. They believed no one could oppose them, that the galaxy would watch helplessly as they crushed Elisar. "Nothing is coming," he said to his officers. "The signal has gone unanswered. These people are finished. Continue the siege. Break their spirits first, then destroy them completely. The Varaks were unaware that humans were on their way. They did not consider the Death Cluster a source of warriors. In their arrogance, they assumed no species could survive such harsh conditions and still possess technology advanced enough to challenge them. Back on the frontier, Megan continued running simulations. "We can approach through the asteroid field near the planet," she said. "The Varaks have not stationed patrols there. The density is dangerous, but we can navigate it. Once inside, we hit their command ships first, then focus on the blockade." Daniel frowned. "Asteroid fields are unpredictable. Even a small collision could destroy the ship. Are we sure this is worth the risk?" Laura's eyes were steady. "If we take the safer route, civilians die. Risk is part of the mission. That is why humans survive where others fail. We go through the field. We go fast. We go hard." Eric checked the fuel and energy levels. "We'll need backup systems ready. Any minor failure could be catastrophic." Megan nodded. "All contingencies are accounted for. We have prepared for storms, debris, and ambushes. Our advantage is that the Varaks do not expect us. They will underestimate humans." As the frontier approached Elisar, the asteroid field loomed large. Jagged rocks drifted in slow motion, spinning and colliding in silent chaos. The ship slowed slightly to adjust its trajectory, weaving between massive boulders with precision. Inside, the crew held their breath, watching every meter of the approach. Meanwhile, on the surface of Elisar, Tala had begun organizing the remaining civilians. She guided them to underground shelters, checking for injured people and distributing water. The city was half destroyed. Buildings that had once housed hundreds now stood as hollow shells. Smoke filled the air, burning eyes and lungs. But Tala pressed on. Suddenly, a small alert beeped on her console. A new signal had reached the relay tower. It was a voice, calm and clear. "This is the human fleet. We have received your distress call. Help is coming." Tala froze, unsure if her eyes were playing tricks on her. "Humans?" she whispered. She had seen only old records of humans in history files. They were said to live on a death world, a place no one else dared to go. And now, they were coming for Elisar. "Yes," the voice continued. "We are coming. Hold on. You are not alone." Hope surged through Tala. She turned to the few soldiers in the bunker and repeated the message. "Humans are coming. They have received the signal. They are on their way." Outside, a distant rumble shook the city. Tala could not tell if it was another explosion or something new. She ran to a window and saw nothing unusual at first. But then, faint shapes moved in the sky ships, unlike anything the Varaks used. Sleek, strong, and fast, cutting through space toward Elisar. In orbit, the Varaks commander noticed the ships immediately. "Intruders!" he shouted. "Identify them!" His officers scrambled. "Unknown fleet, approaching from the Death Cluster," one said. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No species could survive there. They cannot be a threat. Prepare defenses, but do not panic. We control this planet." Laura's voice echoed through the frontier. "All hands, prepare for entry. We go through the asteroid field. Stay sharp and follow the plan." Daniel's hands moved over controls. "This will be tight. Watch the sensors and stay focused. One mistake, and we're finished." Megan monitored enemy positions, marking weak points and calculating risk. "We have one chance. Keep steady. Trust your training." As the human ships moved closer, Tala's hope grew. Civilians peered out from shelters, unsure if they were seeing another trick of fear. But the shapes were real. Humans were coming, and Elisar might have a chance. Back on the frontier, the first ships passed the outer edge of the asteroid field. Rocks scraped past, shaking the ship, but they held. Daniel gritted his teeth. "Nothing like this in training," he muttered, though a small smile appeared. Humans were used to danger, they thrived in it. Inside, Laura looked out the viewport. We are nearly there. Remember, the goal is to reach the city and secure civilians. Minimize casualties. Let's show them what humans from the Deathworld can do. Eric checked the incoming Varric scans. They see us now. They are reacting. Be ready for immediate engagement. Tala and the remaining defenders on Elisar prepared as best they could. They had hope for the first time in hours. The city might not be lost yet. The frontier surged forward, weaving through the field, and for the first time in Elisar's history, humans strong, fearless, and trained by the harshest world in the galaxy were entering their sky. The human ships emerged from the asteroid field, cutting through the smoky skies above Elisar. The city below was scarred. Buildings half collapsed, and fires burned uncontrollably. Tala's heart raced as she watched the newcomers. Their ships moved unlike anything she had seen, agile, strong, and precise. She could hardly believe they had come from the Death Cluster, a place no other species dared to enter. The Varric's Dominion noticed immediately. Their patrols swiveled toward the humans, and alarms rang across the city. "Unknown ships!" the Varric's commander shouted. "They are entering our space! Attack!" Lasers fired from orbit, streaking toward the human fleet. The humans did not panic. Their ships twisted and weaved through the incoming fire, taking advantage of speed, maneuverability, and instinct. Daniel's hands moved over the controls with steady confidence, guiding the frontier through the barrage. "Keep it steady," he called. "Trust the training." Megan analyzed enemy patterns in real time. "They are relying on predictability," she said. "Their ships move in tight formation. If we hit the command vessels first, the rest will hesitate." Laura nodded. "Then we do exactly that. Full focus on command points. Minimize civilian exposure. Let's move." 1. The first human volley hit a Varric's command ship. Explosions shook the enemy vessel as systems overloaded. Panic rippled through the Dominion fleet. Ships wavered, firing erratically. Their advantage of numbers was slipping. Below, Tala ran through the ruined streets, guiding civilians to safer shelters. She could hear the distant hum of human engines and the flash of their weapons. She had never seen fighters move like this. They were fearless, precise, and aggressive. For the first time in hours, she felt hope. A human shuttle descended from the frontier, its engines glowing against the smoke-filled sky. It landed in a plaza that had been cleared of civilians, its armor glinting in the firelight. From inside, Laura and a small strike team emerged. Daniel, Megan, and Lisa followed, along with a few heavily armed soldiers. Tala approached cautiously, unsure if they were friend or foe. "We are here to help," Lisa said softly, raising her hands to show she meant no harm. "We received your distress call. Humans have come." Tala's eyes widened. She had never met humans, and yet here they were, standing in front of her. Calm, organized, and ready. She took a deep breath. I am Tala. Thank you for coming. Please, the city is." She paused, looking at the burning skyline. "Almost destroyed." Laura nodded. "We know. We will help as many as we can. We move fast, and we move smart. We need your help to guide us through the city. Where are the civilians? And where are the Varric's positions?" Tala led them to the relay tower, showing maps of streets, remaining safe zones, and blocked areas. The humans listened carefully, asking questions, analyzing the best paths to reach civilians without encountering heavy resistance. "Your technology is helpful," Megan said, examining Tala's console. "With this data, we can avoid the worst traps and get to the people faster. Your knowledge of the city is a weapon." Tala nodded, feeling a surge of pride. "I will help in any way I can." Meanwhile, in orbit, the Varric's Dominion commander roared in frustration. "How is this possible? Who are these attackers? They come from a dead zone. They should not exist. Destroy them immediately." The Varax fleet scrambled, trying to regain control. Their focus on fear and intimidation had failed. Now, they faced a force they had not expected: human ingenuity, bravery, and the ability to thrive where others could not. On the ground, the humans moved swiftly. Daniel and his team secured key junctions, using temporary barriers and drones to protect civilians. Lisa set up a field hospital, tending to the wounded with calm efficiency. Megan monitored Varax movements, predicting patrol patterns, and guiding the humans and Elisari around danger zones. Tala assisted, operating her console to redirect power to shelters and guide human teams. "There are Varax units approaching from the north," she shouted. Laura moved quickly. "Split teams. We can handle this." "Daniel, flank left. I'll take the center." "Megan, keep mapping and guiding civilians." "Lisa, stay with the injured." The humans struck with precision. Varax soldiers who thought themselves unstoppable were taken by surprise. Humans fought differently from any other species Tala had seen. They used the environment, struck suddenly, and moved aggressively toward the enemy rather than retreating. A Varax patrol tried to flank the civilians, but Daniel and his soldiers cut them off. In a brief, fierce fight, the humans neutralized the threat with minimal harm to Elisari. Tala watched in awe. The humans were strong, fast, and fearless, yet careful with the innocent. Meanwhile, Megan calculated the next strike. "The main blockade will falter if we disrupt command and communications. I suggest sending a small team to target their command posts on the ground. Once disabled, the rest will fall into confusion." Laura nodded. "I'll lead it." "Tala, you come with us. Your knowledge of the city is crucial. We need to move fast and precise." They prepared, checking weapons and equipment. Tala adjusted her gear, nerves tight but determined. She had no choice but to trust these humans, strangers from a world said to be deadly. And yet, she felt more confident with them by her side than with any Elisari force in recent hours. The team moved through narrow streets, weaving past rubble and smoke. Humans demonstrated tactics Tala had never imagined. They used temporary cover, diversion drones, and sudden bursts of fire to keep the Varax off balance. Soldiers who had once seemed unbeatable were caught off guard, unsure how to respond. At the Varax command post, humans and Tala set charges on critical systems. The building trembled as power conduits overloaded. Alarms rang through the city. But the humans did not hesitate. They moved fast, covering each other, taking advantage of the confusion they created. Tala's knowledge of the building's interior proved invaluable. She guided the humans past hazards, telling them where floors were weakened, where debris could fall, and where hidden patrols waited. Daniel and Laura listened carefully, trusting her instinctively. Suddenly, a Varax squad appeared at a stairwell. Humans reacted instantly. They fired in controlled bursts, hitting critical points with precision. Varax soldiers fell back, stunned by the humans' aggression and tactics. Tala realized that humans were not only stronger but also smarter in combat, able to adapt instantly to changing situations. Inside the command post, they reached the control hub. Megan, guiding remotely, directed them on where to place disruptors. Tala assisted, her hands steady despite fear. Laura planted the final device, checking it carefully. "Ready," she said. With a controlled explosion, the command hub's systems failed. Lights flickered, alarms ceased abruptly, and Varax communications went dark. Across the city, the remaining Varax patrols hesitated, unsure what had happened. The human strike had sown confusion. From orbit, the Varax commander screamed orders. His fleet wavered as ships lost coordination. A few tried to maintain formation, but without command, they were ineffective. The humans in orbit moved in with the frontier, hitting key ships with targeted attacks. The blockade was beginning to crumble. On the streets, civilians peered from shelters. Some could not believe their eyes. Humans, from a world no one expected to survive, were fighting to save them. Tala helped guide them toward temporary safety zones. She could hear the hum of human drones, the sharp sounds of their weapons, and the steady, confident voices of their leaders. Lisa worked tirelessly, tending to injured civilians and soldiers alike. Her hands moved quickly, setting bones, stopping bleeding, and giving comfort. Tala watched her and realized that humans were not only fierce fighters but also compassionate caregivers. Daniel led a small team to secure another junction, pushing Varak's troops back into collapsed buildings and blocked streets. He moved with calm strength, protecting civilians while fighting. Tala followed, amazed by the humans' efficiency and courage. By nightfall, the city was still scarred. But the humans had created pockets of safety. Elisari civilians moved cautiously from shelters to protected zones, guided by Tala and the human teams. Fires still burned, but the worst of the immediate attacks had been neutralized. Tala stood beside Laura on a small hill overlooking the city. Smoke and fire painted the skyline red and orange. I did not think anyone would come," Tala admitted. "No one else heard our call. And now you are here." Laura placed a hand on her shoulder. "We promised to come. We do not wait for permission. Humans from the Death Cluster do not let fear stop them. We fight when others flee, and we protect when others abandon." Tala felt a mix of awe and relief. She had never seen such bravery, such strength, combined with care. For the first time since the Varak's attack began, she believed Elisar might survive. High above, the human fleet prepared for the next stage. The Varak's command was still operational in orbit, but its coordination was faltering. Megan studied patterns, planning the next strikes. Laura and Daniel reviewed ground reports. Every move was calculated to save civilians and weaken the enemy. On the streets, Tala and other Elisari began to understand the humans' ways. Their tactics were unusual, direct, and sometimes reckless, but they worked. They did not hesitate to enter danger, and yet they minimized harm to those who could not fight. As night fully descended, the city was quiet in pockets, but alert in others. The humans moved through the shadows, guiding, protecting, and fighting. Tala realized that the galaxy had ignored Elisar's cries for help, but humans had answered, coming from the feared Death Cluster to save a world. For the first time in days, Elisar breathed. There was hope, and Tala knew that with humans by their side, survival was possible even against the Varak's dominion.